Last season's January window was obviously an exceptional one because of the injuries. Is this the same exceptional situation? Have you considered whether you might go into the market?
Maybe we get something, but it's completely different. We are not going to buy 4 or 5 players that happened last season. I'm really pleased with the squad we had in the pre-season, in the season, and right now. So it's what it is. During the years happen sometimes, and wish him, Josko and Ruben come back soon, and John as well, and the players for Africa come back, and survive that moment, that period, and go for the next one. I'm so confident and positive, and we will do it.
In theory, Mark, it leaves him just with Nathan Ake and Abdulkadir Kusanov. Pep could well pull a rabbit out of a hat, and who knows, might end up at centre-half and be brilliant there. But would it make sense to move for Guehi this month?
It certainly makes sense because he's Premier League ready. And when you're in the middle of a season and you're getting into the business end of the campaign, you need players that can do the business. And that was one of the things that Pep had last season. 5 key players brought in, over £150 million spent. But it probably took some time for some of them to get up to speed. Whereas someone like Marc Guehi, he's oven ready. He knows the Premier League. He's a Crystal Palace captain. He understands what the rigours of playing week in, week out are like. He's been playing week in, week out with Crystal Palace, playing in Europe as well, plays on the international stage, so he would absolutely be perfect. And the fact that he's going into the last 6 months of his Crystal Palace contract, there'll be certain clubs that will say, well, actually, we might be able to sniff out a deal here. £35 million was the fee that Liverpool agreed with Palace in the summer before the deal was pulled at the 11th hour. So you'd imagine that the fee this time around, maybe 20 million, 25 million, something like that. He's still a captain, he's still a top-class operator, he's still been performing brilliantly, but he would certainly slip into that Manchester City setup. And also, Liverpool still have an interest in the player. We know that they're looking at defensive reinforcements, whether that's this January or in the summer. He's a player that's still very much on their radar. And the fact it is January now, he can sign a deal with Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, so his representatives will be currently speaking to those teams in Europe just to establish, is there a deal on the table that we can sign now? And it takes out the option of going to a Premier League side in January. So there's a lot on the table, and you'd imagine that Marc Guehi is a player that will probably be speaking about quite a bit between now and the end of the window. And
there's a lot at play if you look at it from a Palace perspective as well, Carve, because Mark mentioned the breakdown of the Liverpool deal. That was due to Oliver Glasner wanting to keep his player. They still probably want to win the Conference League. He would keep his captain. Steve Parish has spoken before about, do we need to make some money from him? Mark mentioned the transfer fee. If Marc Guehi sits tight for 6 months, a lot of that will end up in his back pocket, won't it?
I don't think he's somebody who's motivated by money, though. And he's got so many options. But to be fair to him, he has always been focused on Crystal Palace. He's always given 100% to Crystal Palace. I just feel that, it's all well and good talking about all these clubs who are potentially interested in signing him, but until the summer, his future is in the hands of Crystal Palace. And as you mentioned in your question, Oliver Glasner played a really important role in making sure that Guehi stayed at Selhurst Park last summer, because he said to the Palace hierarchy, Mark is only leaving if we sign an adequate replacement. And Palace were not able to sign that adequate replacement. So I think the situation will be exactly the same this January. Oliver Glasner won't let him go unless he signs somebody who he feels is an adequate replacement.
Oliver Glasner was actually asked about Marc Guehi in his press conference today, and his response was, I'm unsure what's going to happen. So even the Crystal Palace boss doesn't know how this window will unfold.
You said we're probably going to speak a lot about Marc Guehi. Are we almost at the point where we're not going to have to speak about Antoine Semenyo anymore? Is that nearly done?
Nearly done, yeah. We might have some more news in the next hour or so. As Andoni Iraola said earlier on today, he's going to play for Bournemouth. It's been the longest farewell in football. Every single match that Antoine Semenyo has played over the last few days and weeks, everyone's expecting it to be his last at Bournemouth. This was the scene as he left the pitch at the Vitality after that thrilling game against Arsenal. We'd imagine that he will play a part against Tottenham, and then maybe that will be his last game, and then maybe on the Thursday you'll start to see a little bit of movement. We know that the deal is all but agreed with Manchester City. The release clause ends on the 10th of January, so they've snuck in just in the right time, but I'd imagine the next 48 hours would see some significant developments.